story. Yes. I'm going to record.
All right, hello everybody. First Alert Meteorologist Justin Bradford here, getting an update to our forecast on this Monday, first Monday of March across mid-Michigan. And there has been a lot of change in our First Alert forecast we want to talk about. We're warming things up. We also are bringing a much wetter forecast trend into the picture. So we got to take a peek at that. We'll do so by taking a live look outside. Here's our live Skycam network over mid-Michigan. You can see lots of sunshine, blue sky out there in our forecast today, where we've got temperatures warming up versus where they were yesterday. Most of us got stuck in the 20s for our highs. You had to go down to either Coldwater or Hillsdale. Folks, you who are watching us from there got to 30 and just barely. But that 24-hour temperature change is on the plus side for us here. That's back around 10 to in some spots as much as 13 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday. So our 2 p.m. temperatures here, 35 in Lansing, 36 in Charlotte, and 34 in Hillsdale. Jackson's right there with Lansing at 35. So everybody has made it back into the 30s today thanks to the southeast wind and the sunshine, which will keep us in those mid to upper 30s. Headed through this afternoon, down through this evening into the 20s are where we go, and the cloud cover is on the increase. Now that could have a bit of an impact on a little bit of an astronomical event that'll be going on later tonight, which we'll touch on in just a moment. But wanted to peek at satellite and radar, which isn't going to show you much around home. A backed out view shows the system that's been going through the last day or two south of here continues to stay in that direction along with the clearing line. So that's why we've got the absence of clouds today, as high pressure has been dominant over the Great Lakes state here. Now there is a more of a wet pattern moving our direction out west, and we'll catch maybe a taste of that tomorrow and Wednesday, but really full bore is where we'll head on our Thursday. So we'll peek at the hour by hour First Alert forecast here and what we can expect heading into the rest of this evening, where again we see the clouds fill back in. Now here we stop at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. This will be right around the end time of that event that we're going to touch on in a moment, the blood moon lunar eclipse. And it looks pretty cloudy for us, but if you can find a couple of pockets of clearing out there tomorrow early or some thin clouds, you might be able to see the red hue of that moon. Otherwise, we're going to just watch for a couple possible areas of drizzle early, maybe a few late. The ones that happen early could make for some slippery roads as the temps will be below freezing, but we should at least touch the 40s on Tuesday before heading back down overnight into the upper 20s, low 30s. So our Wednesday begins dry, and it may stay that way in its entirety. There's a very small chance for rain Wednesday as well, but the better opportunity, I think, is going to come as we head into Wednesday night and eventually Thursday. That's when a steadier rain will settle back into the Great Lakes. So for tonight's forecast, it's 24 for the low, partly to mostly cloudy, but the clouds are filling in as the night goes on after some evening skies remain clear. We, of course, wish it was the other way around. Wanted to touch on this event, the blood moon lunar eclipse, which is taking place. And by the way, if you can't catch this one, and many of us might not because of the stubborn cloud cover, next one actually takes place on New Year's Eve, but not until 2028. So we're looking at almost 3 years' time from now before we'll have another opportunity to view a blood moon from here in mid-Michigan. Now this partial eclipse where the moon begins to take on a little bit of the shadow shape begins at 4:50 a.m. If you are an early riser and you're up at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, that's when the totality begins. So again, this is all conducive on whether or not we can clear the clouds out a little bit. But around 6:30 would be the peak viewing when the moon would in theory be the, well, it will be, not in theory, but when the moon will be its deepest shade of red. That'll be about 6:30 tomorrow morning. If you're able to glance in the low western sky and you get some breaks in the clouds, you might get lucky enough to be able to see it. Otherwise, that totality ends just after 7 o'clock in the morning, and then the partial eclipse wraps up at 8:17. Of course, by then we'll be off into the daylight anyways, but you may still, if you have those breaks, as we mentioned, be able to see the little bit of the shadow of the Earth being projected onto the moon. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that the clouds will hold off a little bit, but right now, it's not looking very promising for us. So you'll be able to see that only if you're lucky, if you have that opportunity. That's when you'll see this take place. So that'll be the blood moon lunar eclipse. The last one we'll see till December 31st of 2028. Now coming up at the end of May, we're going to have a second full moon in a month. It's called the blue moon. The March full moon called the worm moon. So that's what, again, if you have the chance to see it, you'll see tonight. High temperature trend, giving you a first alert to that over the next several days. If you've been waiting for this, like a lot of people have, you'll be excited about the numbers you see, I imagine. Highs yesterday only in the 20s. We're back into these 30s today, 40s tomorrow, near 50 Wednesday and Thursday. And then we're really off and running. By the time we get to Friday and beyond, we could be talking 60 degrees on several days in a row. And next Tuesday, that really warm day, could fluctuate a little bit, but I can't put it out of the realm of possibility. We could see numbers close to 70 degrees in some spots, and that's just about 8 days away or so. And so keeping an eye out on that day will be one to circle in the calendar, and hopefully it'll verify for those folks who are waiting for that to come back. Now, the one caveat or drawback, if you will, is that we're going to have a lot of rain opportunity. Now, some rain opportunity is good. Not a ton, but the 10-day forecast shows that we've got at least a chance for a shower Tuesday and Wednesday, even if it's fleeting and most of the day is dry. We will eventually head to steadier rains Thursday, a little bit Friday, and then Saturday as well. And another quick reminder that daylight saving time begins on Sunday, and so that's when we will spring forward. So while we technically lose an hour of sleep, if you look at it that way overnight, the most notable trend that we have starting Sunday are the later sunsets, and true to form, those will take place after 7:30, which is something that will last all the way until just about October. So there's promise in our forecast here. Now, I do think, and I want to make it clear, that beyond this mild 10-day forecast that we're shaping up to have here, I do think after next Wednesday it's going to start to cool off, and by the end of that week we may have highs back in the 30s and lows in the 20s, which also welcomes the opportunity for some snowflakes to come back into the mix. And so all of that and more we're continuing to track. But one thing we know for sure, it's going to be a well above normal stretch here as we head past tomorrow and into the rest of the week and early next week as well, when we're really into those 60s. And so coming up, First Alert Meteorologist Andy Provenzano in our 90 minutes of news, we'll have an update to that and what you can expect heading into the rest of our week moving forward. And then, of course, we've also got weather updates on Studio 10 coming up at 3 o'clock. You can also catch us on any of our streaming platforms, including News 10 Plus, online, YouTube, Facebook, and in our News 10 Plus streaming app. And so you can get all that information there. And of course, we'll have updated First Alert forecasts coming for you throughout the week. And so you can find us on all of those platforms. In the meantime, enjoy the sunshine today and enjoy the mild week we have coming ahead. Thanks for watching.